Hello, and welcome back to another episode of White Album 2. We are currently playing through CODA, and we are on vacation. So, they've finally made it. They've taken a train north and presumably gone to Hokkaido, where it is very snowy and very beautiful, to the very same inn that they stayed during the Christmas 5 years ago with Setsuna. So, a very different situation here. They're planning on maybe extending their stay, so let's see how that one goes.
金のことで私に見え張ろうとするな。お前が一番よく知ってるだろう、そんなこと。
それでもさ、男ってのはそういう見え張りたがるもんなんだよ。
バカバカしい。お前一人くらい私だって養える。身の程を知れ。
Yeah, literally. That comment was not necessary.
そういう意味で言ったんじゃないからな。
ごめん、言ってる意味わかんないから。
そっか。
The sensation of Kazusa's head suddenly disappears from my shoulder.
温泉入りに行くか。
もうちょっとしたら。もうちょっと。
そっか。
なあ、春樹。
なんだ。
Kazusa looks up at me from below. Compared to our usual behavior, this is far too frank and far too forcible of a development.
今日まだキスしてない。
だっけ。
And her request is just as I'd expected and wanted.
朝慌ただしく旅支度して、昼はずっと電車で移動してて、夜は今のところご飯食べただけ。
そういえばそうだな。
ずっとキスしてない。
悪かった。
お前が悪い。
And here we go.
Haruki. Haruki. 5年前さ。
Like, honestly, I'll give them credit for not doing that immediately after they entered the hotel room, granted how they usually are around each other.
ここで誓ったのにな。永遠の友情。なのに結局壊してしまったな。
俺が悪いんだ。
一人で抱え込まないでくれよ、春樹。お前がそう言ったからって私の罪軽くなるわけじゃないんだぞ。
カズさ。
Like that, we avoided confronting reality with our indiscreet words. But by merely exchanging glances, we reached another conversation based in truth. Something that the offenders could not bring themselves to say out loud. Something painful, sorrowful, and full of joy. After relaxing for a while, we went for a bath in the hot springs. By the time we came back to our room, the futons were already prepared. Well, thank goodness for that, because I feel like you're going to get a lot of good use out of them. Right? So cheesy. Right next to each other, like the futons pressed up against one another. Hello, welcome back. So as you can probably imagine, Kazusa and Haruki spent some adult time together, a lot of adult time together actually. I have a slight criticism here. The writing in this particular scene is quite possibly the poorest translation out of all of the other scenes, the adult scenes, I should say. It was, I don't know, the language they use is very childish, in my opinion. It was not very sexy, but that has nothing to do with the original writing of the game. That's just my opinion on how it has been translated. Other than that, though, now they are in the onsen together, post-adult shenanigans, so we'll continue from here.
どうした？
まだこぼれてくる。
そうか。
By the time we were finished making love and had gone back to the open-air bath to clean ourselves up, it was already past 3 a.m. Also, let me just say, this is horribly, horribly disgusting. Because if you go to onsen in Japan, or anywhere that you have, like, public bath, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to clean yourself up in the shower, and then you go into the bigger bath area. You're supposed to make yourself clean before you bathe with everybody else. It's a separated thing. So if Kazusa really is still leaking, that's absolutely disgusting. You are not supposed to do that in the public bath. I mean, that should be common sense, but they have nothing when it comes to common sense. As expected, there was no one in the men's bath nor the women's bath. So, thinking that it would do no harm, I called out to Kazusa, and she timidly made her way to the men's bath.
うわ、なんかすごい異物感。次トイレ行くのが怖い。
洗おうか、中まで。
ほんと、変態め。今度は指入れるつもりか？
今まで入れてたものに比べたら一番ノーマルな気も。
ああ、もう思い出させないでくれ。あまりにも恥ずかしくてのぼせそうになる。
She continues berating me, yet there is no sign of her ever stopping to snuggle up to me. Her wet hair and flaming cheeks touch my neck and my shoulders, and they convey the happy feeling that our hearts are connected. It conveys that Kazusa is truly happy right now, even compared to 5 years ago.
けど、いい湯だな。
少し暑いけどな。
Back then, only our backs were touching, and our hearts were connected through Setsuna. That's what we forced ourselves to choose.
それに、いい景色だな。
Okay, but being in an open-air bath while the snow is falling is one of the best feelings in the entire universe. Like, definitely top 5 for me. So, so nice.
真っ暗だけどな。
In Setsuna's right hand was my left hand. In Setsuna's left hand was Kazusa's right hand. That's how our friendship was given shape. My right hand and Kazusa's left hand were left separated.
眺めてるだけで飽きないな。
But now, my right hand and Kazusa's left hand are steadfastly connected. 5 years ago, Kazusa let go of Setsuna's hand, as well as my left hand.
もう帰りたくないかも。
こんなにいいお湯とこんなにいい景色だよ。もっと楽しもうよ。
It was so nice back then.
どれだけ見ても飽きないよね。ほんと最高。もう帰りたくないな。
Another pet peeve about this scene, though, this scene from back in the introductory chapter, though, is that Setsuna doesn't have her hair tied up, and that is such an onsen taboo. If you're a girl, you have to have your hair tied up. It should not be touching the water at all. I wonder if Kazusa realizes that the words that just leaked from her mouth are the lines of the other person who was with us 5 years ago.
帰るなんて誰も言ってないだろ。
春樹。
そんな先のこと今はまだ考えなくていい。俺たち今日着いたばかりなんだぞ。
But I'm not so dense as to point that out to her. But neither am I decisive enough to nod at her with a smile. I can do nothing but to clumsily divert the conversation.
温泉入って美味しい料理食べて雪見て
寝て起きたら春樹にまた変なことされて。
起きてすぐは危険なんじゃないか。してる最中に中井さんが入ってきたら。
気にするのはそこなのかよ。
朝飯食べて朝風呂行ってからにしよう。確か10時からまたここ空いてるよな。
お風呂行ってる間に布団片付けられたりしないかな。
俺が言っておくよ。昼間も使うからそのままにしといてって。ついでに夜まで入ってこないでくれって。
Finally, Haruki has some foresight. But it's true, if you go to these types of hotels, they'll usually lay out your futons for you, and then they will fold them up if you're staying for longer than one day.
なんてあからさまな。私たちが何してるか絶対にバレるぞ。
恥ずかしがることないだろ。俺たちがそういうことするのはいけなくなんかない。
Perhaps those words I spoke are a terrible form of sophistry toward the world I've lived in up until now. But perhaps the fact that I was able to say them so easily indicates that I no longer have any place in this world.
明日も明後日もずっと雪だといいな。
そうだな。窓から何も見えないくらい白い雪で覆い尽くされるのもいいな。
Building your entire world on one person, on just one pillar, and having no extra connections is so bad. It's so bad. This is dangerous.
雪に閉じ込められるのも悪くないな。電車も車も何もかも止まっちゃってさ。
自然には逆らえないよな。仕方ないからしばらくここにいるか。
私は構わないけどさ。いつまで？
そりゃあ春が来るまでだろ。
まるで氷河期だな。で、数ヶ月ぶりにやっと脱出できたと思ったら日本中凍りついてたりして。
いいじゃん。地球温暖化の抑制になる。
そういうレベルの話か？バカバカしい。
ほんとバカバカしいな。
For just a second, I thought about the possibility of something so ridiculous coming true. The world being covered in snow, and with no sign of melting on the horizon. Left with no choice, we would spend all our time here. I found myself slightly hoping for that endless white world, that closed-off world for just the two of us. We desired each other so much that we could, in all earnesty, hope for something like that.
少し眠くなってきたかな。
もし眠ったら部屋まで運んでやるよ。
Please don't go into a hot spring if you're sleepy. That's very dangerous.
運んでもいいけど、私の裸見るのよ。
何言ってんだ今さら。
Like always, we are never on the same page when we speak. Yet the grip of her hand on my shoulder, and that of our entwined hands, is powerful enough to convey our desperation to each other. Without words, we reassure each other that we'll never let go. Because if we let go even once, then everything will end at that exact moment. And that's the problem with the level that their relationship has reached right now. If they even think about going to work, for example, they feel like suddenly their whole relationship's going to break apart. That's not sustainable. That's not healthy. You need to be able to be apart from each other for a bit. But because their relationship was built on a timeline, which is eventually going to come to an end, they think as soon as they stop holding hands, as soon as they stop making love, as soon as they, aren't in the vicinity of each other, then that's it. And that's so bad. That idea should just be a delusion, yet it won't leave my head. You can probably guess what they're gonna do now, so I'll see you again when it is safe for work. Welcome back once again. So, the scene played out pretty much as you can imagine, with Kazusa and Haruki hooking up. The main takeaway right now, and it just keeps repeating and repeating, but it's getting more and more apparent, is that they're actively trying to block out the rest of the world. Kazusa had briefly mentioned, like, hey, I do have a concert coming up, and she's nervous about it. And Haruki just keeps touching her, keeps doing what he wants, and just saying, like, don't think about it, shut out the world. This is a world for the two of us, and it's fine, so let's just enjoy it. Which, is super unhealthy, but that's what they're going with now. So, continuing on from there.
いえ、全然。俺たち、この雪そのものを見に来たんで。
あらまあ珍しい。この辺りじゃどこだってこんな景色なのにね。
どこにでもあるようなところが良かったんです。ってちょっと失礼ですね。すいません。
Even as I chat with the hostess, Kazusa hangs her head, making things somewhat uncomfortable. Be it a gentle, regular person or a journalist, her fear of strangers is as strong as always. Thanks to that, her extreme introversion will become even more prominent when we're alone together.
ああ、そうそう。さっきみんなと話してたんですけどね。ほら、あれですよね、あれ。
あれですか。
That thing happens to be an expression a certain someone's mother uses a lot, and so I have no clue what it refers to. Yeah, Setsuna's mom used to say that a lot.
こちらのお嬢さん、ほんとびっくりするほど綺麗じゃないですか。でね、どこかで見たような気がしてね。
ああ、あれでしょ、あれ。ほら、なんだっけ。
そうそう。ほら、ピアノの人でこの前コンサートやってた。
ああ、そうそう、あの人。来日してから言われまくりなんですよ、こいつ。
But in an odd twist, that vagueness also serves as an excellent camouflage for when we're having dangerous conversations such as this one.
なんか今みたいにメガネ外して髪を下ろすとそっくりに見えるって、俺からしてみれば全然似てないんだけど。
Just hiding in plain sight. Oh yeah, we hear that all the time. Definitely not her though.
そりゃお兄さんはいつもそばで見てるから、細かい違いまですっかり分かってなさるんでしょ。
正直比べるのも失礼と思うんですけどね。だってこいつあんな芸能人よりよっぽど美人でしょ。
What a flirt.
本当ですね。比べ物にならないくらい。
なんてうまいな、おばさん。さっきまでそっくりだって言ってたくせに。
うちのお湯に浸かったせいでますますお綺麗になられたんですよ。ちょっとやめ。
Kazus is like, please leave. I don't want this woman in our room. But places like this, where they actually have an owner that will come in and serve you food and change your bedding, they love to chat. Especially if business is slow like this, they love to chat.
あらごめんなさい。見立て違いでした。ちょっとのぼせたみたいですね。いつの間にか桜の花みたいになっちゃいました。
そんなにからかってあげないでよ。ただでさえ引っ込み思案なんだから。
まあまあ、こんなにお綺麗なのに控えめなお嬢さんで、ほんとお兄さんが羨ましい
でしょ。俺たちもうすぐ結婚するんです。
Oh, Haruki. Like, despite all of my feelings about this particular storyline, I still think that is an incredibly rude and cruel sentence to say.
春樹。
あらあら、それはおめでとうございます。ほんととてもお似合いですよ。お兄さんもね、よく見ればいい男だし。
何その俺に対してだけ取ってつけたような褒め言葉。
まあそれはともかく、奥さんもおめでとうございます。末永く幸せになってくださいね。
落ち着けよ。
桜の花がとうとうゆだっちゃいましたね。
What an awkward conversation. Yeah, it's time to have a chat. It's definitely time to have a chat.
お前、一体なんであんなこと。
あんなことって。
どこで結婚しようってんだよ。私たち二人の夢の中でかよ。私のことごまかすにしてもやりすぎだろ。お前すっごい嘘つくんだな。春樹？
I was careless. The happiness I felt from being together might have numbed my mind. Yeah, clearly.
カズサ。
え？
I bet rumors are already going around the inn. They're probably comparing the pictures from the magazines to her. The hostess fell for my desperate attempt at a diversion, but she never looked away from Kazusa's face.
明日の朝立とう。
She knows. She has probably, no, definitely found out who Kazusa is. In the closed-off world meant for only the two of us, a tiny crack has made itself known. But, like, who cares? I guess if she, like, leaked the information, maybe journalists would come. But that's if she leaked it and people believed it and then the mass media were to come all the way here, you know? I don't think it's that big a deal. Even when it became night, the snow didn't stop. It actually snowed more than during the day. The powder snow is flying past the window perfectly horizontally. In this pitch-black room, those white grains are the only things that reflect light, vaguely illuminating Kazusa's skin, hair, and eyes.
明日。
In the darkness, one more thing starts to reflect light. Kazusa's wet lips as she starts moving.
帰るのか。
During dinner, we were completely silent. We didn't drink any alcohol, we didn't snuggle, and we didn't sense the taste of the food we were eating. Instead, we just sat there stuffing our mouths in silence for 30 minutes. Well, that sounds uncomfortable. But when the hostess came and took our plates and prepared our futons, our attitudes did a complete 180. We made love and hurt each other more passionately, roughly, loudly, and more animal-like than we did both this morning and yesterday night. Releasing it inside her over and over, and it was only until Kazusa passed out for a short while that things started to get quiet again.
仕方ないよな。
We were driven up against a wall. Kazusa's true identity was revealed. Tomorrow, her office might come to take her. One of Yoko-san's underlings might come to forcibly take her back. No, that would actually be the best case scenario. If someone in my line of work was to get a hold of this information first.
春樹もそろそろ仕事に戻らないといけないもんな。私のためだけに1週間も使ってくれたんだし。
Yeah, that would probably be the smart thing to do. I won't be able to let Kazusa leave this room. The meaning behind the glances the people around the inn throw at Kazusa, their secretive whispers. I fear hearing the phone connected to the front desk ringing. My suspicions grow stronger and stronger. I'm overwhelmed by the feeling that the rift in our world is growing larger and larger.
そうだよな。これ以上わがままなんか言えないよな。私だってしなきゃいけないことはあるしな。
Yeah, sooner or later, reality is gonna set in. It's gonna come knocking on your door. We're reaching our limit. We're at the point where it might be impossible to look for a place where we can be alone together, no matter where and how long we search for it. It's not in Japan, and not in our hearts either.
もう戻らないとな。私はピアノに。そしてお前は。
In that case, I'll...
嫌だ。
Also, kind of important, I feel like, is the Japanese that Haruki uses here is the very childish Japanese that Kazusa always uses when he's like, yada. That's exactly how she's always talked to Haruki. And he's like, stop acting like a kid. Now Haruki is using that same exact language. The parallel doesn't come through in English very well, but it's powerful in Japanese.
春樹。
In the end, I still can't bring myself to give up and await the conclusion I know is going to happen.
何言ってんだよカズさ。俺たち帰るわけなんかないだろう。だってお前帰りたくないって言ったじゃないか。
嬉しいよ。そう言い続けてくれるの。本当に嬉しいんだよ春樹。でもお前。
誰にも邪魔させない。俺とカズサのことを誰にも。
Perhaps I didn't want to listen to what she had to say next, so I interrupted her, as if obstructing her.
北へ行こう。ここよりもっと北へ。
北？
もっと山奥のもっとひなびた温泉とか。いや、逆に都会の方が目立たないかも。そうだ、その手があったよな。この際だから思い切って札幌なんてどうかな。あっちの雪はここより綺麗だぞ、きっと。
Sapporo is actually famous for the snow festival. They make these big snow sculptures and it draws in a lot of tourists from all over the world. So as far as a snowy big city goes, heck yeah, Sapporo.
なあ、春樹。
うん。でもとりあえず行動指針はできた。明日は始発で移動しよう。目が覚めたらすぐにチェックアウトして。
春樹。
そうと決まったら今日はもう休んだ方がいい。寝ておかないと明日きついぞ。
春樹。
カズさ。
Kazusa pushes her head into my chest. She clings to me with greater force than she has ever done before, and both warm and cold drops fall down on my chest. Haruki is so happy to be staying in Dreamland. But you can't stay in Dreamland forever. Someday you gotta wake up. So before we really get into that, though, I think we'll stop there for now. So, thank you so much for being here with me on this episode of White Album 2, and I'll be back with more shortly. Until then, hope you take care. See you!